Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Carmack, and I would like to talk to y'all about an incident that happened about a year ago now, in April 2017. On April 9th in 2017, a man named Dr. David Dow was dragged off a United Airlines flight at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago. Here is a picture from one of the articles that I read. And this resulted in him having a broken nose, 2 loose teeth, and a concussion. It also caused some emotional trauma to the other passengers, who witnessed him being dragged, bleeding unconsciously down the aisle. One of them said that they actually witnessed him hitting his head on an armrest, which may have been the cause of him being unconscious. At the time of the incident, many passengers were recording and posting videos of him forcefully being removed from the plane. And by the time that the plane had landed, there was an uproar on Twitter, which resulted in many loyal customers destroying their cards, like this one, who said, my new #United card. Not planning to fly with them anymore after this, and they put a link to a video. It also resulted in many spoke of boycotting United Airlines because of it, and the market value dropped by 4%, which was a $1 billion loss in market value, as per my article said. The reason for the removal was that the flight was overbooked. Overbooking is a very common practice. It is used by not just United Airlines, but also many other airlines. The companies overbook the flights in anticipation that people will change their flight plans at last minute, as they often do. When a flight is overbooked, then the airline will first offer its passengers an incentive to volunteer to change the flights, sometimes even upping the bribe. And only after that incentive is not taken are the passengers then randomly selected to be removed from the flight using an algorithm. In this case, 78 passengers booked a flight, and although the max capacity was 78, 4 of those needed to be the crew members for the flight, leaving the max capacity at 74. So there was a need for 4 passengers to get off the flight. The crew was necessary for flying, and having more than what is allotted is a safety hazard, so it was really truly necessary. Dr. David Dow and his wife was actually the second couple selected. The first couple left without any incidents, although they were very unhappy and dissatisfied with leaving. Dr. David Dow and his wife initially, they said that was not causing any problems. It wasn't until he was told that he wouldn't have a flight until tomorrow, and he absolutely said he had to get back today. He had to get back that day. He couldn't go back on Monday. He had to get back that Sunday. He had patients waiting for him. Before selecting them to leave, they did offer the passengers the incentive to volunteer to leave the flight and take another flight. The initial offer was $400 and a free stay at the hotel, as well as, of course, the rebooking. When no one took that offer, they then upped it to $800 and a free stay at the hotel. Still, when no one took that bribe to volunteer, they did randomly select the passenger. So, the incident became an ethical dilemma when there was a need to forcefully remove the passengers. Having too many aboard was not an option, and the crew was necessary for the flight, so it wasn't then necessary to remove the extra passengers. So the dilemma then was, how do you remove the passengers? An ethical dilemma, as defined in the book, our Business Ethics Now book, is a situation in which there is no obvious right or wrong decision, but rather a right or right answer. And in our notes, it defines ethics as a manner by which we live our lives according to the standard or right of right or wrong behaviors, in which how we think and behave towards others and how we would like them to think and behave towards us. Or other words, the golden rules: do to others as you would like to be done to you. Resolving ethical dilemmas, there's some very important things to consider, which I think may have been missed in this situation. It is important to weigh the options against each other. Think about your feelings and telling what their feelings are telling you before you decide. To think about the consequences before you act is a very important factor in resolving the dilemma. I honestly believe that this was where the officers and airlines failed in dealing with the situation. Rather than weighing the consequences, they looked to solve the problem with a very short-term solution that caused a very long-term problem. They failed at analyzing the situation and thinking ahead of acting. By forcefully removing him in that manner, in a very public and gruesome view for the passengers, it left very many upset and angry at the airlines. When I first saw this video, I was upset by watching an injured and unconscious man being dragged out of the airlines. It was outrageous to think that they would resort to such forceful actions to remove a passenger that paid to go on a flight. And I also questioned why they overbooked the flight at the time. I still felt that this was not the entire story, though. As with any story worth telling, there are often many sides worth hearing. After looking into it a bit, I feel like it's important to point out that what they did was entirely legal, but excessive force was used. One of the four officers of the four officers that were involved, two of them were fired and one quit. The other officer was initially suspended for 5 days, but it was later appealed to just 2 days. The article does not specify which of the officers were fired, but I assume that they were the ones that were actively involved in dragging him off the plane. It is important to mention that it was not until he returned to the plane that Dr. David Dow was frenzied or belligerent or acting somewhat crazy. He was not really in the right state of mind when he returned later on. They showed the video of him, and he came back on, and he's clinging to the plane, and he's saying, "I just need to go home, I just need to go home, I just need to go home, just kill me now, just kill me now, just kill me now." And repeating it over and over and over again. And actually that frenzied state pretty much shows that there was neurological damage when they removed him from the plane. Things like a concussion. That definitely did bother me because of that. It indicates the excessive force. Removing him in such a way that he hit his head that hard is pretty harsh. Reading into it more, I also was reminded how important it is to read the fine print. Within the fine print, when you purchase a ticket, is a clause that gives the airlines the right to remove passengers as they deem necessary. So, although they offered the passengers a deal to volunteer, they actually had no legal obligation to do so. They were only required to make accommodations equal to what they had purchased. So, reading the fine print. One video that I watched also mentioned that although the passengers had been offered up to $800 to change flights, the max amount available was set at $1,350. So I wondered why it was not upped again. Also, I'm not sure if that might include the stay for the hotel, which would then alter the amount a little bit, or if the hotel was just a little extra add-on. After reflecting on everything, I think that the situation could definitely have been handled differently. First thing, I think that they should have mentioned the possibility that and shown the passengers the clause that states they have the right to remove any passengers from the flight as they see fit, and needing 4 passengers to leave the flight would be a situation where they've seen fit. Although many of us have that fine print and we're absolutely supposed to read it, I'm very guilty of it myself. I will click accept just to get it done. They should, I know that when I flew an international flight in 2008, we actually did have a passenger, we had an overbooking, and they did voluntarily get passengers to leave with an incentive. But I remember that when we did that flight, they never mentioned that clause either. So I would assume that this was the case as well. In the articles, nobody mentioned that they told them about it. It seemed more like that was something that the news or somebody else discovered later on, that this was the case. I'm not sure if the passengers were fully aware of the situation at all. So I think by mentioning the legality of it all and the consequences, and if nobody volunteering, would probably increase their incentive to volunteer. Being told that you can either volunteer or you're going to be voluntold. A lot of people will still sometimes be able to volunteer when you have a bigger bonus for doing so. Second thing I thought about is if there was not a reason to up it, like if the hotel was considered an extra and it wasn't considered part of it, I think they should have tried a third time to offer a higher amount, as well as letting them and reminding them at that point that they have the right to remove the passengers, that if no one volunteers at this point, then they're going to be randomly selecting people to take the next flight. There's no alternative to that. The final thing that I think that they should have done is, I think even if they had gotten to that point, they should have handled the flight plans for Dr. David Dowell and the other passengers that left differently. If they absolutely needed to get home that day, because there are situations where you absolutely do, they should have looked into other flight options, possibly a multi-stop flight, or possibly booked him a flight on a different airline, free of cost. Overbooking is something that is both beneficial in ensuring the max capacity on the plane, which can save us money because planes fly better and more efficiently on max capacity. Is their solution, if overbooking is their solution, then the airline needs to be prepared to back it up when it falls through. Which could mean paying a little extra out of pocket to fix it. It's not something that happens on a regular basis, so it's something they can follow through with every once in a while. The links to the sources I provided are in the description. All the quotes and pictures shown in the reddish pink border are from this article. All the ones with the bluish teal are from this article. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye!